What, if any, more targets could Clemson be going after in the transfer portal? Are there any key positions, in your opinion, that still have not been addressed, or just additional depth pieces that Clemson maybe should look at targeting in this transfer portal cycle prior to spring practice?
Yeah, I do think there are a couple of positions that Clemson is certainly monitoring and that I would like for them to go after. One is punter. Honestly, I think
I'm with you.
Clemson is actively looking. I do know that. There is a name, but I don't want to sow that because that is a very tentative situation, and they're kind of putting that on the back burner right now. But Clemson does have their eye on a punter. That doesn't necessarily mean that he'll end up coming to Clemson. But I do think that is a place where Clemson really needs it, because your punting situation this season was a disaster. And with the departure of Aiden Swanson, you have one scholarship punter, and I'm going to be quite frank, I'm not necessarily very excited or optimistic about his ability to take that step and be a serviceable punter this year.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of in a situation where I think you need to go get a guy that's played a lot of football, experienced, consistent punter, good hang. He doesn't have to be a Ray Guy finalist type of guy, but a guy that can at least give you 45 yards a
Please.
punt.
Can we just get longer than 40 yards? Is that possible? Because this year it was a rarity for sure.
So I do think Clemson is monitoring that in a position that they're looking at. The other one, I don't think it would hurt to get a running back. I know they like, they like the guys, and with the addition of Adam Randall, to the room, that might be a position they hold off on. I could see them going through the spring and kind of seeing how that room looks, and then making a decision. So I don't necessarily think that's something that they're going to attack in this portal window.
Mm-hmm.
But that, and then also, I wouldn't be upset if they went and got a safety. I have some questions about that position. There's some guys I really like, but as it stands right now, I mean, your starting safety group is going to be, well, your two starting safeties are going to be Kylan Griffin and Khalil Barnes, and so
and you're losing a dude in RJ Mickens. I don't know if your average Clemson fan out there understands how pivotal RJ Mickens was to the success that the defense did have this year. If that dude wasn't on the field, it would have been bad.
It would have been a lot worse.
Really bad. And I don't know if people understand how big of a loss and a hole that RJ Mickens is leaving in this team. Shout out to him. I hope he has a great NFL career. He gave Clemson, more than enough. So that's a huge hole to fill, obviously. And then Sherrod Koval exits. You can think what you want about him, but at a point in time, he was really coming along nicely. I thought he was going to be a really good, starter for the Tigers, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out there. So I think safety makes a lot of sense to maybe go get a piece there.
Yeah, I mean, there are guys that I like in that room. I mean, obviously Ricardo Jones. If Ricardo Jones takes that step, I mean that would be massive in his second year, because he did flash a lot when he was on the field. But as it stands right now, you don't have a lot of guys that have really shown much. Kylan Griffin, he's played a good bit his first 2 years. It's been really up and down. Khalil Barnes obviously was phenomenal as a freshman. Took a pretty significant step back this year. Moved around a little bit, played nickel at the start of the year, moved back to safety. I'm not really sure about that room right now. So maybe a Ronan Hannafin steps up. I don't know. That's another position that, hey, you could wait and see how the spring plays out.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I do have some concerns about that room, because I'm not sure, especially the long-term upside. Or I'm sorry, I said long-term. I'm not the short-term, immediate quality play. I'm not confident it's going to be there.
Right.
I need. We got to see it, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
And
mean, look,
they'll
and
monitor it.
there's talent in the room for sure, but it's unproven, right?
Yeah.
And they haven't produced on the field. So there's always a question mark when you have a bunch of guys that are, talented on paper, but you just haven't seen it come to fruition on the football field. So I think probably both running back and the safety position, I would assume that Clemson's probably going to go into spring with what they got on the roster on those positions. I wouldn't be surprised if they added somebody prior to spring practice. But if I had to guess, I would lean that they're going to go into spring with what they got, see what they got, and then, if need be, post spring, go after somebody in the portal if they don't like what they see, and how those guys have come along and developed. But punter for sure. We need to get a punter on campus ASAP,
Yeah.
because Jack Smith, I don't believe that he's just going to make this massive jump this season.
He's been in the program for this is
He's
what
been in the he's been in the
3
program
years,
for 3 years. This is going to be his fourth season with the program, I think.
and he wasn't able to
And
beat
he's
it.
been behind
He
Aiden
wasn't able to
Swanson.
beat out Aiden Swanson for a reason.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't
and
like he was.
that tells me everything I need to know. And I mean, no disrespect to Aiden Swanson at all. He just wasn't a great punter. He was below average at best, for a punter. And if you're on campus for 2 to 3 years and you can't beat that guy out, that doesn't give me a lot of hope for the future. So I would definitely like to see Clemson go get a punter from somewhere. I saw somebody in the chat say Australia would be a good vacation spot for Dabo. Maybe he needs to, go take a quick trip and find one of them Aussie punters over there and get them over here.